And we're back. This, myself, Jim Check, and with Ian Burns and the Real Big Show. We're cutting it up into segments now so that it's more easy to just watch the sections you want to watch. And this segment is kind of look on the international news. And this one is Kamala Harris tells all in her big book tour there, but she really misses out on the obvious, though. And her book titled 107 Days. And it should be, I mean, we could help her with the book title where it says 107 days to blow over $1 billion, right? 107 days, how to blow through cash.
She wouldn't do that because that would be fun. That would be indicative of a personality, wouldn't it? So she wouldn't do that.
Like it's an Adam Sandler movie. I can't remember. Mr. Deeds. It's kind of like an Adam Sandler movie where she has to spend all that money. And she spent it like a crazy person, just like an absolute... And then in this book, she's obviously laying blame everywhere except at her own feet. And then this is Scott Bessent. And I just want to let you know that Scott Bessent is openly gay as well. So take this with, he's addressing this, and he's actually one of the top players for Donald J. Trump as well. But he never plays that card. You wouldn't know it. I mean, he never plays that card. Do you know what I mean? He never pulls it out and says, hey, you know, like he doesn't virtue signal on that card. It's just part of his personal life, right? He doesn't pull it out like Kamala Harris and the rest of the clowns do. But here's Scott Bessent on Fox here.
She wouldn't take on Pete Buttigieg because he was gay, because she said it was a risk to have a running mate who was a gay man. Your reaction?
Three things, Maria. First, it shows her emphasis on identity politics, and the American people have moved on. Two, it shows how low regard she holds the American people, that she was just a terrible candidate. And three, you wouldn't pick Pete Buttigieg because he might have been the worst transportation secretary in history. Like if I thought I was left a mess at Treasury, I can tell you, your friend, my friend, Sean Duffy, our great transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg left him a mess. The FAA is a disaster. The Amtrak, anything to do with transportation was woefully neglected over the past 4 years. So, she judges him on his identity, his sexuality. Let's look and see whether he did a good job. Let's look on merit, and I can tell you, on merit, he's a failure, and on merit, she's...
Yeah, on merit, she's a failure. That's what he finishes up with. But Scott Bessent is one of the powerhouses for Donald J. Trump. Like they interview him a lot, but he is definitely one of the guys pulling in the trillions of dollars of investment. I mean, but he never plays that card. You know what I mean? I would never have known it other than, that it's out there, right? But he never plays that card.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when I heard it as well.
Yeah, because he never plays it, right? He just, again, it's on merit, right? And he does, but he is a literal powerhouse out there with them. I'd say one of the key players in the Trump administration in attracting trillions of dollars. And sadly, a lot of those dollars are coming from Canada, like we did at the top of the show in the first segment. TEC Energy, $8.5 billion, Canadian company, going to where? United States of America.
USA.
And where's
But he
Brookfield?
was brought in, wasn't he?
USA. And they've offered him. They've offered him Powell's job too. And they said because they said he's on the list, right? They've offered him Jerome Powell's job, which is a huge job, right? The Fed. That's like, one of the most powerful people in the United States. The stock market kind of lives and dies off of what Powell says.
In the world, I would say.
And what did he say? No, I have a mission. I'm here. I'm dedicated to Donald J. Trump and the administration here. Like, I'm on a mission. I love what I do. And this guy has enough money to do whatever he wants to do, too. Like, this guy's got,
Yeah, he's got pedigree, hasn't he? He's worked for all the big banks and that.
Yeah, he's a big deal, right?
But they brought him in, didn't they? Because they wanted a sort of calm, respectable figure to be in charge of the money, so that the markets would look upon the administration favorably. And I believe that his predecessor was Janet Yellen, wasn't it? Or was there somebody in between?
Janet Yellen.
And if you look at compare and contrast, like she didn't fill people with confidence.
But all she did was virtue signal. He does none of it.
Exactly.
And he could virtue signal.
It puts people off.
And he has the card. He never plays it. Do you know what I mean? He has the card, never plays it. And the guy is worth, like he's banging on the door of $1 billion. This guy's banging on the door of $1 billion in net worth. And And he never puts on airs. Probably one of the strongest and smartest guys that I've seen in that Trump. Although Marco Rubio is like, compare Marco Rubio to Anita Anand. Compare Scott Bassett. Compare Scott Bassett to Francois Philippe Champagne. Put them in the room together. Put them in the room together, because that's the two people, right?
I mean, I've thought about that. They've been in the room together on numerous occasions, and I've cringed when I've thought about that mismatch.
Yeah,
It's almost unfair. It's almost like it's like people who are in the wrong boxing divisions. It's like a heavyweight versus a featherweight or something. It's not fair.
Do you know what I mean? Like, when Anita Anand gets up there and says Canada's leading the world, yes, stand next to Marco Rubio and let's have a debate between the two of you. See how long you last. And the same thing goes for Scott Bassett and Francois Philippe Champagne. If somebody actually fact-checked what he had to say, right?
Well, it's not even just about debating ability, because sometimes people can debate well, but they're not really good at other things. I think it's about effectiveness. Like, what has Champagne achieved? What has he done? And then compare that with Besant, who can point to loads of investment. You can point to the generally pretty good handling of the economy so far, other than the tariffs, which I think are quite stupid, but that's another question.
Again, if you want to compare Scott Bassett, and Mark Carney's a capable guy, there's no doubt of it. He's also very wealthy, even though he tried to play that he wasn't. Mark Carney was a Bank of Canada governor, Bank of England governor. So you would say he's in the same caliber as Scott Bassett. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could argue that he carries similar titles. Bank of England governor, big deal job too, right? Like, Bank of Canada governor, lesser, but the Bank of England, huge job. But I mean, Scott Bassett, I have yet to catch him in a lie. And I don't know when I can catch Mark Carney in the truth. That's the difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he will have lied. But yeah, I'm not sure. I know I think he's a bit of like a lot of people in the Trump administration, including Marco Rubio, who you mentioned. He's very much, he's going along with it, and he's kind of changing a lot or pretending to change a lot of his principles. Just, he's going along to get along, as they say, which is kind of a lie, I guess. It's kind of like a dishonest way of doing things. But I don't know. I mean, he worked for George Soros, didn't he, Besant? And his lord and master is not a big fan of George Soros. It's just there's a lot of
I watched
weirdness, and certainly Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio spent years attacking Donald Trump, as did JD Vance, and they've kind of swallowed that, haven't they? Just and there's a certain amount of dishonesty to that, I reckon.
To be fair, Donald Trump 1.0 and Donald Trump 2.0 are two different people as well. So
that's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
not only the person is different, but the times are different. Very different circumstances.
And then in the first term, he had everybody working against him, including the people that he put close to him. This time, he assembled a team that is like, like if you look at the caliber of the people he put around him last time, the caliber of people around him this time, like he went and got people that didn't like him. JD Vance did not like him.
Yeah.
Right? He went and got Marco Rubio, did not like him. Tulsi Gabbard ran for the DNC, ran for she wanted to be president of the Democratic Party. RFK Jr., there's an unlikely marriage,
She
right?
was the head of the DNC.
Yeah.
She wanted to be the presidential candidate, yeah.
RFK Jr. You know who put those people together? You know who put RFK with Donald Trump? You know who put JD Vance with Donald Trump? Charlie Kirk.
Peter Thiel, is it?
Charlie
Kirk.
Yeah. Charlie Kirk put them together. Charlie Kirk was the fence bender. And what did he get for that? There you go. Stephen A. Smith, again, a very much a liberal, I guess you would call a ranter. I guess you would call us ranters too. But Stephen A. Smith, he cooks the books on Kamala Harris after he said, nothing comes to mind. This is when she went on The View. Remember, she said, they asked her, well, what would you do different if compared to Joe Biden? She's like, well, I can't think of a single thing. I think she should have ended the sentence early. I can't think. She should have just stopped right there. I can't think.
She was, bear in mind, she was the border czar. That was her job title, wasn't it? And she couldn't think of anything.
Never been to the border.
Like maybe sorting out the border.
But she said that time when they said, you've never been to the border, she said that she's been to, I think it was some South American company. She said, I've been to Peru or something. Just like, okay, that's not the border.
I feel like, I can't remember where it was, but was it not even in Asia or something? Something so ridiculous that she said, wasn't it?
So she's blamed Biden in this book So she's coming to Toronto. If you're Canadian and you want to go watch her, if you want to dole out some cash money and get yourself a book, if you want to go listen to somebody lie to you for, an hour or so, then hey, she's coming to Toronto. You can listen to her. She's got a great laugh. It's very infectious, and
She says so.
And then Tim Waltz, she said she picked that guy because, like her second pick there, Peter, was gay, so she couldn't pick him. So she picked an old white buffoon. Like basically, like if you wanted to pick a buffoon, Tim Waltz has got to be one of the biggest buffoons out there.
Well, apparently they justified it by saying he would appeal to men, which the Democratic Party struggles to, win votes from. It's quite funny, isn't it?
What user group did they use to that one? What did they use? How did they figure that one out? Like I
imagine they went on Reddit.
Oh my God. And then just in the mix and mash, mission mash we're going to do, because we're going to do another segment for this, but just in our mission mash, old Jimmy Kimmel got put back on the air last night, and he did his little statement. We're not going to play it, but he did his little statement. He cried, made it all about himself, how he suffered. Like it was very much, he kind of like half-ass apologized, but like not really. But, he cried about how, he's the victim. And then he went on to...
Yeah, he did cry. If that means he won the battle, if he cries.
And then he got his applause from the audience that was basically, I've talked to people that go to those kind of shows. They tell you when to applaud and how hard to applaud and all that kind of stuff. You're basically like trained SEALs in that audience there. And so you might as well play a laugh track. But we even saw that here, with the CCMAs where they're telling you, when you're in the audience, like, like we're coming back live right away. So we need some big excitement. So they kind of jack you up, right? So a lot of that is just all just nonsense. And but not all great news for Jimmy Kimmel. Next Star, I believe, and the other ABC affiliate, two of them said they're not going to run his show, and the two of the biggest affiliates will not air the show. So I think 60 stations or something like that, ABC stations, that refused to air it. So he lost about half his audience, and he doesn't have much audience to begin with. So this thing is likely going to be short-lived. They probably put him back on and look at his ratings. His ratings, if you go pull up the chart on his ratings, it's a steady slide into nowhereness. And if you look at what Jimmy Kimmel has accomplished, he's supposed to be a comedian. Like he's basically taken over for Johnny Carson, and then Jay Leno, who never did politics really, and then all of a sudden Jimmy Kimmel. It's basically a propaganda show now for the Democrats.
And it's like lowbrow, isn't it? That's the problem. It's lowbrow slop, isn't it, for partisans of the left?
It's a Democratic show, late night show for the Democrats, and with no audience. So what does that tell you? And then here's one of the biggest Democrats, the guy that shot Joe Biden's chances all to heck. He's the one that wrote the letter, the op-ed. I think he fed it to the New York Times, if I'm right, if my memory serves me correct. He pulled out that op-ed because he went to that fundraiser after Joe Biden's performance there, and I don't think Joe had remembered who he was. And of course that hurt his ego, right? Hey, no, everybody's got to know who George Clooney is. But according to George Clooney in his interview there with Tapper there, he says that, like MAGA will end after Trump's done. And I thought these people were saying that Trump's never leaving. So all of a sudden he's leaving? What's going on? I thought it was the end of democracy.
They sometimes get their lines mixed up, don't they?
These clowns don't know how to get it right. So George Clooney, obviously, that's the one thing that bothers me is when movie stars, or whatever they call them, I don't know, who's a movie star these days? The AI's going to eat that stuff anyway. They decide to tell you their politics, Taylor Swift, George Clooney, and all that stuff. And then, you just put up Keith Olbermann there. He had he did that really savage thing to Scott Jennings and said, "You're next." And then, he's apologized, obviously, that the FBI is pounding on his door there and, making death threats. This is what kind of motivates crazy people, right? Because they say, oh, Keith Olbermann, like this big media voice is out there, saying you're next. He's motivating his audience to be like his henchman. And then he said, I wrote it and I deleted it, misinterpret. How do you misinterpret you're next as a threat? You misinterpret that as a threat? What else is that? Right?
Well, they always blame it on other people, don't they? Say could be misinterpreted rather than I put out something stupid that, could easily be read as this.
Yeah, but the internet doesn't lie, and it just it keeps the stuff there. And I'm not sure if Trump trolled the people on Tylenol, but there's a ton of research out there that kind of like backs what he said. And then there's actually, even from Tylenol, put it out there, we don't actually recommend anybody using our products while pregnant. That's an old tweet from Tylenol itself. And then there was so many people out there, like liberals, or Democrats, that were actually pregnant, popping Tylenol, like Tic Tacs, to show that they were going to, like, who does that? Like, and if
They're
I
very
was,
sick people, aren't they?
if I was Trump right now, or Trump or Scott Bessent or Rubio, I would be saying, like, what do we do next? We're going to say we forbid the Democrats from eating horse shit. Just see what happens.
But the thing is, I'm not sure that a lot of people on the Trump side of things can take the higher ground, because there was also, during COVID, there was that ivermectin thing, which was quite interesting, and people were looking at it. It deserved study. But then a lot of the Democrats and Democratic administration said, "Don't take that. It's horse dewormer. It's really stupid." And then people just started to buy it and take it, like just to prove a point. And it's kind of like, it's this. I mean, the politicization of drugs, even, it just tells you that we're in such a wacky time. This is such a crazy time to be living through.
And here's another one. The CTV snuck through there. This is a weird one, right? Keep calm and carry cash. What is that all about? Remember the other one that was put out there, like that the Canadians with means will leave and the rest will be killing all the wildlife. Yeah, notice that's not Canadian dollars there. I have no idea. Is that European? That's not even European. That's not euros either.
No, they're euros. They are euros. Yeah. But it's also like, that's the last thing that you'd want. Surely, if there was a war, the currency would be debased to an extent that the best thing to have, and what I believe they advise you, the sort of people who are experts in the end of the world and all that, they advise you to get things like tins of tuna fish and stuff like that. Like, that's going to be currency. Or guns, obviously.
It's the other one is GOLD, that the Canadian government has zero in reserve. Zero. The Canadian government, this is another one Nina Nunn can run out there, and Francois Philippe Champagne can run it up flagpole. Canada, the only G7 nation in the G7 not to have any gold in reserves. What do they have in reserve? The majority of it is Canadian T-bills, or sorry, U.S. T-bills, the country that they say
You're forgetting, there's another reserve, the maple syrup reserve.
The maple syrup reserve, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
Don't forget that. And we got a lot of milk that we pour down the drain every year.
The first thing we need to seize if there comes a war is we need to seize all the liberal bank accounts and retrieve all of our cash.
But there's no gold, so the cash will be worthless. There'll be no point then.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our show for today, and we're going to try to do these segments. I think we're going to try and come back. We actually had some communication with the guy at the ostrich farm yesterday. He called me. And then he said, I said, like, let's do a live stream. And apparently, I watched a clip, and I don't know, it didn't end up in here. But apparently, they gave the RCMP a letter from a First Nations group that says that the birds are now under the care of the First Nations group. And then the RCMP officer's like, okay, I'm going to need to run that through the higher ups, right? Like the ultimate trump card there. Just like, do you know what I mean? I have no idea what to do now.
The hierarchy has been disturbed then, hasn't it?
There you go. And it goes with our theme. The birds are under attack. The birds with the solar towers, the windmills, and then it seems like the Canadian government has many RCMP officers that can go to a bird farm to get the birds, but they can't go and arrest the people that are stealing all the cars, raping young children, and killing people in their homes in front of their children. They seem to be short supply there, but
they certainly can't prevent those despicable crimes. They'll turn up later, but that can't unrape you, unmurder you, or whatever, can it?
We seem to have a lot there to go in and deal with these birds, though.
Definitely. Got to sort out the ostriches.
Maybe
you could almost say they've got their head in the sand, the RCMP, but
or they could maybe
that's too on the nose.
Take those birds, ship them to California to that solar farm, and just let nature take its course. Hey? And
it would be good for the environment somehow, I'm sure.
That's our show for today. I think we're going to come back with a couple more segments later on in the show. We're going to try this new format. Love to hear your feedback on it. That's it for now, though. Cheerio, and we'll see when we see you. How's that? Thanks for watching Now Media.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter to all of us.